What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jason here at the Cowpart Bros. Come let you guys know that the date for the anniversary episode has been set, and it's going to be Thursday, April the 21st, episode 53. Mark your calendars down for that. It's going to be a good show, and the main thing is we want to hear from you. So make sure you continue to send us your messages via cowpartbros.com, the message button there, cowpartbros@gmail.com, 405-877-BROS, or just hit us up on social media and let us know what you thought about the first year of the Cowpart Bros, what you liked, didn't like, favorite moments, favorite segments, what have you. Make sure you get those to us by Thursday, April the 14th, the week before. So make sure we have it in time to get it in for the show, okay? And no matter what, make sure you remember this. When it comes to all things Cowpart Bros, make sure you like us, love us, share us, and follow us. Because if you like us, why wouldn't you?
Welcome to the Cowpart Bros podcast. I'm your host, Terrence. With me is my co-host, Jason, calling in for the Back Cave in Indianapolis. Jason, how are you, my good man?
Hey, I'm doing very well, man. It's another good Tuesday. And once again, just like last week, this is the icing on the cake, doing the show with you. Hey, man, I'm ready to get into it. And folks, I promise you, we're not talking about, anybody slapping anybody else. It was a good topic last week, but guess what? We're ready to move on. It's all love, episode 51. Let's get started.
Yes, sir. Thank you for listening. As Jason stated, this is episode 51. Damn, that feels weird to say that number of the Cowpart Bros podcast. For the uninitiated, Cowpart Bros is the podcast to hear. We are a weekly podcast for fans of culture, current events, sports, life, and entertainment.
And as always, we're your hosts, Terrence and Jason. And every single Thursday, we come to you with a brand new episode where we discuss the current events of the day, sports, and the athletes we love.
And even some of the athletes we loathe. No matter the topic, you can expect a brutally honest and fun exchange of snark while learning through the lens of our 30 years of friendship that originated in Calumet Park, Illinois.
And folks, make sure you connect with us on social media for more behind the scenes of the show. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, under the handle Cowpart Bros or Cowpart Bros Podcast. And like I said, that's where you find all behind the scenes of the show. And you can go there and connect with us every day. But make sure you do not forget that the Cowpart Bros Podcast is available to listen and subscribe for free wherever I'm talking to you, listen to podcasts.
Like us, love us, share us, follow us. And folks, if you like us, hell, why wouldn't you?
Like Terrence said, we are the podcast to hear and watch. Just make sure you're living it, loving it, and doing it.
Yes, sir.
You're doing it well.
Shout out to LL. All right. So in the first segment, we decided we haven't talked about football in a while. And, next season will be here before we know it. But the NFL made some news in their off season related to some diversity initiatives that they're embarking on in this 2022-23 season. And I'm referencing an article from NPR for Ayanna Archie. NFL is requiring teams to hire women or minorities as coaches for the 2022 season. And that article continues. National Football League set forth new diversity and inclusion efforts for the 2022 season at their annual owners meeting, such as requiring its 32 teams to employ a female or member of an ethnic or racial minority as an offensive assistant, the league said in a statement. Candidates must have at least 3 years of collegiate or professional experience in coaching football. Those persons will receive a 1-year contract with a salary and benefits, organization announced. For the roles, NFL will reimburse teams up to $200,000 in 2022 and $205,000 in 2023 from a league fund for coaches. In recent years, offensive head coaches had predominantly offensive backgrounds. The NFL said, "We believe this resolution will assist greatly in continuing to source and identify diverse candidates earlier in their career, providing pipeline depth and furthering developing the diverse offensive pipeline." That's a mouthful. So according to league data, the percentage of people of color in coaching positions increased from 35% in 2020 to 39% in 2021. I am also curious what they mean by people of color. And I'm not trying to get too cute with it, Jason. I think, one, it's a wonderful initiative, assuming that results in, as they mentioned, getting more women involved in the game. From the coaching perspective, more people of color, as they stated, Um, and I think that's a win not only for women and people of color, but also it's a win for football because you're getting you're getting more um, diverse talent in the pipeline, as they said, almost like a AAA baseball team. See, you said I don't talk baseball, and yet here I just dropped a baseball reference talking about the NFL. So now that you know a little bit about this initiative, Jason, what are some of your initial thoughts on this?
First of all, that was a very token baseball reference. You just made a baseball reference just to make a baseball reference, just to have a baseball reference, so you can say you made a baseball reference. That's all it was. Token. Don't do that, bro. You're better than that. Be better.
Checking a
Uh,
box.
yeah, exactly. And speaking of checking the box, no, well, and to be honest with you, that was kind of my first thought when I first saw that the NFL was going to require, quote unquote, teams to hire a POC or a woman to be an offensive assistant. Like, okay, so are we just hiring people just to be hiring people now so we can check a box so we can have a token in there? But then I saw the part about the candidates must have 3 years of collegiate or professional experience in coaching football. So it's not just any random individual. It has to be somebody who has a little bit of experience. So okay, good. So not just hiring anybody, which is good. Again, not in the tokens. So, um, but the other thing that I had to have a little pause about was the fact that the NFL is going to reimburse teams for even though it's from a league fund for coaches, they're going to reimburse teams up to $200,000 this year and 205 next year or next season, 2023. And my thought is, well, wait a minute, why do we need to incentivize these teams to do this as opposed to just? I mean, isn't it already required? So if it's required, why do we need to incentivize them to do it?
Short
That
answer.
seems kind of odd
Short
to me.
answer. They ass ain't doing it in the first place.
And here's another thing: that an article's not mentioning this, and they're not worried about it because again, now that it's required and you're gonna give teams money, they're probably not worried about somebody not doing it. But my question is, well, what if a team doesn't do it? Then what? Then what are you gonna
Say,
do?
I mean, what's the penalty for not operating in good faith for the Rooney Rule? Effectively
Well,
nothing.
right. So then it's really required. And again, the NFL is not required to let us know what their punishments are for teams that don't follow any of their rules. They're not required to let us know. But I do find it funny that they're using the word require and all this stuff. But it's not mentioned when it comes to anything, when it comes to what's going to happen if a team refuses to do so for whatever reason. Not saying they'll be outright defiant and not do it, but what if they don't?
Well, I just think that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, these teams at this point, they know the rules, and in an almost Belichickian fashion, they know how to skirt around them. You know, and at this point, some of these teams are doing it for sport. I mean, the stakes are way higher for the Rooney Rule. And
I mean,
and
I mean,
and go ahead.
now of course there are some teams that already have a POC or a female in these roles, so they're already good and covered. Now, what that percentage is, I don't know. I didn't look into it, to be honest, but I know they do. But I obviously the NFL is going for 100%. Which, hey, if every team complies, great. In addition to being given 200 grand to pay these people, I don't know why a team wouldn't. So, like I said, I guess we'll see who's going to be the one of 32 to not do it. Um, Overall, though, general premise, it's a good thing. Like you mentioned, Rooney Rule. We talked about this so many episodes ago. The Rooney Rule and how it's been around for 19, 20 years, and it doesn't work because the premise of the Rooney Rule was, yeah, you have to interview people. But obviously, it's up to you to still hire them or not. And obviously, most cases, it's not. Now, this is a requirement, so teams have to do it, quote unquote, right? So, and it's not just interviewing; you have to hire them. So you can find the right candidate that you want, but you better hire somebody, and it better be somebody in one of these two categories or both. Make it a POC female, double down. Great. I'm sure there's a shortage of PLC females in the coaching ranks. That'd be pretty awesome. We're already talking about getting a black woman in the Supreme Court. Why not have one and the same thing in the coaching ranks of the NFL? Why not? It'd be a banner day in the world. Diversifying the NFL and the Supreme Court. America's winning, folks. America's winning. Go ahead, bud.
I think for one, we've called out the fact that you're never going to get 100% enforcement. Hell, you might not even get 50% enforcement, but you still have to start somewhere. Issues with the Rooney Rule, and it's funny because NPR also references the Rooney Rule, is that at least 2 external minorities must be interviewed for head coaching positions, and 1 minority must be interviewed for a coordinator job. And another thing that's brought up here is that previously women could only satisfy the requirement for positions such as club president and senior executive.
I found that pretty interesting because it's like, okay, we can fill this role out for at the executive level. Women can be executives in the NFL, but it wasn't applied to coaching. So I found that so interesting that women can be, obviously targeted for the high executive roles, but not, they can't be like the men coaching them up. They can't do that. Again, not to cut you off, I just remember reading that and find that very interesting.
No, I think it's important. Yeah. I brought that up. I was like, oh, it's funny until we bring up these things, we don't even understand a lot of the human resources behind these squads. See, we're so fixated on, basically the big 3. You got your head coach, you got your offensive coordinator, you got your defensive coordinator. And sometimes if we're lucky, especially if we hate our team's GM, we'll fixate on the GM. So that's literally 4 positions within the front office that the average fan gives a damn about. That they either swear they'd invite him to the cookout this summer because they love him, or it's probably been writing them hate mail on social media for the last 20 years. So I think it's important that they're shining a light on certain positions, and they said it can't just be about head coach, because you're not going to have a pipeline if you only focus on head coach. Hell, Eric Bieniemy has been a fucking assistant for God knows how long.
And can't seem to get a head coaching job. So
his best hope is Andy Reid just daps him up on his way out and rides into the sunset. His best hope. Same deal with Bruce Arians. You almost need, in those scenarios, you need the hookup. You need the hookup.
Holla if you hear me.
Right. And so, sounds like what the NFL is attempting to do is try to make it easier to get the hookup.
Which again, premise-wise, isn't a bad thing. You mentioned Eric Bieniemy. We also got Byron Leftwich in Tampa behind Bruce Arians, and I almost agree with you that it may take those 2 individuals, Andy Reid and Bruce Arians, retiring for those 2 people to be able to hopefully, because you would think that everybody recognizes that Bieniemy and Leftwich are definitely good head coaching candidates. So you would think that just the removal of Reid and Arians would, okay, these 2 definitely will get interviews with the team they're currently on, Tampa Bay and Kansas City. But I guess that's where the Rooney Rule comes into play. Yeah, I can interview you, Leftwich and Bieniemy, but I ain't got to hire you, because obviously it depends on who else is out there and available, right? I can't. Urban Meyer, who obviously got fired during the season, this past season during the year. But the fact of the matter is, the Jaguars, the Cons, not CON, but the KHAN Cons, they decided to go with Urban Meyer, which I'm sure they regret it now, as opposed to going with the Leftwich. And I don't know if they interviewed these guys or not. But the fact of the matter is, Urban Meyer came out of nowhere, wasn't even coaching anywhere last year, but all of a sudden he came out, got the job. So So maybe that's what it'll take. Like you said, Bieniemy and Leftwich staying where they're at, holding strong, and hoping one day the big bosses move on and retire. I do want to mention a few other things that were kind of approved and announced um, on Monday. Is there was also a pledge from the league ownership to increase diversity among owners. So again, among owners, a statement from ownership read in part, which includes Art Rooney from the Steelers. Membership will regard it as a positive and meaningful factor if the group includes diverse individuals who would have significant equity stake in and involvement with the club, including serving as a controlling owner of the club. The league currently has 0 black owners. So I wanted to point that one out in particular because I think even in our conversation in the past, we pretty much focused on coaching and maybe some parts of the executive level as well, but not even mentioning ownership. I didn't necessarily realize that the NFL didn't have any black owners. And I think because we see it happening in other sports like the NBA, other sports, I think even MLB for that matter. So you just would have thought for sure the NFL would have had at least one black owner. Well, as of Monday, they didn't. Now they did also make it a point, which I'm sure I know why, based off what I just said. They did make a point to let it be known that the Denver Broncos, who are currently up for sale, some of the people bidding on that do include minority owners, or at least somebody within that group who is, has a majority stake and also is a minority. So they wanted to point that out. Also, they are planning on creating an external diversity advisory committee composed of DEI, which I'm sure is diversity, equality, and inclusion experts and attorneys, as well as former Texans general manager Rick Smith to review the NFL's diversity policies. So, again, somebody, again, at least on paper, reviewing the NFL's policies on diversity and making sure they stay, relevant, current, and actually up to date, and not just lagging behind. So I just want to point those things out, especially the part about them putting a focus on getting more black ownership in the NFL. I mean, it is 2022. There are black millionaires in this country. We know that, and some black billionaires. So let's get one of them to be an owner somewhere. There you go.
Yeah, when I hear about all of the DEI initiatives, I think on one hand, that's great. I think also on the other hand, man, they about to build a wall of ways in which they can effectively have it be toothless, because their best game is to encourage, which they know that. You can't require this shit. You can't. You can. That's just not who the NFL is. And I think there's a reason why the NFL is that way, because that's how America is.
Well, I mean, and I said earlier that when the article reads the NFL is requiring them to hire a POC or a woman for these positions, offensive assistant, and I kind of mentioned tokenism, things like that, and also my mind also went to things like affirmative action, like just hiring a black person just to hire a black person.
Well, that's not exactly the idea behind affirmative action.
I know, but I'm just saying that in
Right, but when
general.
you say it like that, I'm like, dog, we gotta have a fucking disclaimer, dog. So,
Well, you just said it, so there you go. But point is that it just seemed like the NFL was saying, "Hey, hire a black person to hire a black person." We starting to look bad on this. The rules not working. You guys aren't doing what you're supposed to do, or take that back. You guys aren't doing what we hoped you would do. So now we're going to make it a quote unquote requirement. But hey, we'll also pay you too. Yeah, I kind of think that part puts a little small damper on it. The fact that they're reimbursing people to do it. It's like, hey, you doing this on your own merit isn't good enough. So here's this extra 6-figure, incentive to say, hey, we're going to require you to do this, but just in case you still decide not to, even though it's a requirement, here's some money for you. So
yeah, what's $200,000 when each team, the shittiest football team, is got to be worth what, millions of dollars.
Well, I mean, they are. You're correct, and I see where you're going with that. Yeah, you wouldn't think that'd be a small motivating factor, but the fact that now I don't have to pay you, like, like if I was hesitant to hire anybody who's a POC or a female, or I don't, based on my own merits, I was kind of hesitant to do it, and now I have the actually added bonus of I don't have to pay you. I agree with you. $200,000 should be a drop in the bucket as far as revenue wise to these individuals. But still, like we always say, millionaires like being millionaires. They want to save money like that, however they can too. So $200,000 doesn't sound like much, but guess what? It's still $200,000 they don't have to spend. So
yeah, it just sounds like a salary cap hit basically, and so that would be my one. I mean, they're not penalizing them; they're just like I said, they're encouraging. And
but so it being a requirement isn't a requirement, quote unquote, isn't encouragement enough. Like no requirement, as in you have to do this. So shouldn't it, right? I mean, isn't that what requirement's supposed to mean? I mean, I lost my job because I didn't follow a requirement. So isn't that what requirement means?
yeah, but the difference is we're not talking. The difference is you aren't valued at $2 billion.
Well, hang on now. We're not. Well, hang on now. I hear you, and I agree with you. But teams have been fined for a lot worse things. Some cases, some more than others. So my thought is, if it's going to be a requirement, there should be no incentive needed because I'm requiring you to do this, and the incentive for you to do it is for you not to get punished for it. I'm not saying it has to be a major punishment, obviously, but requirement should be enough.
Yeah. I don't hang on that word too much. Requirement doesn't mean a whole damn bunch to me, especially for the National Football League.
I'm not agreeing with you, but that's the problem. That's a problem.
Yeah. I think I understand why you're hung up on it. And I totally understand it because in your mind, it's like, listen, if it's good enough for the goose, it's good enough for the gander.
Well, but also too, they're making a point to put it out there in all the media releases about this that it's a requirement, right? That's not me saying it; that's them saying it.
Right, but they're saying it not for them; they're saying it for us.
Well, yeah,
and that's why I'm laughing it off because there is certainly some PR minutia in there. There's a lot of this is optics,
facts,
and a lot of companies want to talk the talk, but they don't want to walk the walk when it comes to DEI issues. Okay, and in the case of the National Football League, it's not one business; it's 32 of them. So,
well, that's a topic for a different conversation. But point taken, and I don't agree. I don't disagree. Excuse me, but yeah, is what it is, and we'll just have to see how this works. Hopefully, better than the Rooney Rule. So,
yeah, I think we cross our fingers for a great implementation, but I think our skepticism is well earned. All right, that concludes our first segment on the National Football League with DEI initiatives. Coming up next, we're going to talk about people that have Amazon guilt on Cal Park Bros.